Look around you. The world is filled with noise, with people rushing to follow the latest trends, opinions, and empty promises. In the chaos of this mass movement, there's one thing that often goes unnoticed: mass psychosis. It's the strange collective hypnosis where millions of minds are locked in a loop of confusion, making decisions not based on reason or knowledge, but on what everyone else is doing. You've seen it every day. People absorbing shallow opinions from social media, mindlessly following what's trending, never questioning what's really behind the noise. Have you ever stopped to think, why do we do this? Why do we act like puppets, mindlessly following the herd? Are we truly living, or are we just going through the motions, accepting whatever comes our way without challenging it? The truth is, most of us have fallen into this trap. We've become part of the crowd, influenced by the media, by the opinions of others, by the fear of standing out. The problem isn't just the chaos of the world. It's that we've become so comfortable in this chaos that we no longer recognize how it's slowly suffocating our ability to think for ourselves. It's easy to dismiss this as nothing more than the way the world works. Everyone's doing it, so it must be right? But here's the catch. The more we let ourselves be swept up in this, the more we lose our individuality. We lose the ability to think critically, to question, to see beyond the surface. So, I ask you now, are you aware of what's happening around you? Are you awake enough to see that most people are living in a mass delusion, caught up in a world that thrives on shallow distractions? You have a choice. Keep following along with the crowd, or break free and find your own path. This isn't just about being smarter or more informed. It's about reclaiming your mind. It's about rejecting the noise and taking back control of how you think, how you perceive the world. The first step toward freedom is awareness, and that's where we begin. Are you ready to break the chains of mass psychosis and reclaim your life? Mass psychosis isn't something you can easily spot, but once you start noticing it, you can see it everywhere. It's like an invisible force pulling everyone into the same hypnotic trance, where they stop thinking for themselves and start following the crowd. Look at how people interact on social media, mindlessly liking posts, sharing opinions without even knowing the facts, retweeting without a second thought. It's a cycle constantly feeding itself. But the worst part is that most of us don't even realize we're part of it. We're so caught up in it that we assume this is the way things are supposed to be. Have you ever stopped to think about how easy it is to get swept away in the current? It's almost as if there's a collective script being written, and we're all playing our parts without ever questioning it. You don't even have to think to be part of the conversation. Just react, just comment, just agree or disagree with what's trending, and suddenly you're a part of something bigger. But when you do this, you become a mere player in someone else's game, a game you didn't even choose to be in. You're not engaging with the world, you're just reacting to it. And that's exactly what the mass psychosis thrives on: reaction, not reason. And the truth is, this behavior is rampant. We've built a culture where conformity is rewarded, and those who speak up, who think differently, are often labeled as outsiders. It's easier to go with the flow, to follow the herd, than to step outside the lines and risk being ostracized. But here's the thing. Every time you follow the crowd without thinking, you lose a little piece of yourself. Your independence, your ability to think critically. You start to believe that the noise around you is all there is, and the result, you become part of the very system that keeps the psychosis alive. Take a look at the news, at the politics of today. We're constantly bombarded with debates, arguments, and sound bites designed to trigger emotional reactions rather than rational thought. News outlets and social media platforms thrive on division and outrage. They create stories not to inform, but to keep you hooked, to make you feel like you have to pick a side, to make you react before you've had a chance to think. It's exhausting. And it's all designed to keep you in the cycle, in the system. But what's the cost of all this? What happens when we stop thinking for ourselves and just follow the tide? When we stop questioning what's right or wrong and just go along with what everyone else is doing? The consequences are serious. When you give in to mass psychosis, you stop living your own life. You start living the life others want for you, the life society tells you to live. You stop striving for greatness, for personal growth, and instead you settle for mediocrity. But even more than that, you lose your power. You lose the ability to change your circumstances because you're no longer in control of your own mind. You let the world dictate your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions. The moment you stop questioning, stop reflecting, stop choosing for yourself, you become trapped in a world of distractions and noise. The crowd becomes your comfort zone, and escaping it becomes the hardest thing you'll ever do. This is where the real challenge lies, recognizing that you're in this cycle and understanding what it costs you. It's easy to say, well, everyone's doing it. It's just how things are, but this mentality is the trap. The longer you stay in it, the harder it becomes to get out. It's like a cage that you don't even know you're in until it's too late. The good news? You don't have to stay stuck in this. You don't have to live this way. The first step is realizing that you don't have to be part of the mass psychosis. You have the power to break free, to take back your mind, and to start thinking for yourself. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to happen overnight. But the moment you decide to stop following the herd and start forging your own path is the moment you begin to reclaim your freedom. But it all starts with one thing: awareness. Understanding that mass psychosis is real and that you don't have to be a part of it. You can choose to think critically, to live authentically, and to make decisions based on your values, not on what's trending or what others tell you to think. The moment you wake up to this truth, you've already taken the first step toward escape. So why do people become stupid? Why do so many of us fall into this trap where we're not thinking critically, not questioning the world around us, and simply going along with the crowd? The answer lies deep within human psychology. Most of us don't realize it, but we are driven by an innate need to belong, to fit in, and to be accepted. It's this desire for validation that makes us so vulnerable to manipulation. And it's why people end up getting caught in the trap of mass psychosis. At the core of this behavior is fear, the fear of being left out, the fear of being rejected, the fear of not being enough. We've all felt it. It's that instinct to conform, to blend in with the crowd, because standing out might mean being judged or ridiculed. This fear makes us turn off our critical thinking. Instead of questioning things, we accept them, just to be part of the conversation. We stop trusting our own minds and instead rely on the opinions of others. We let the noise of society drown out our inner voice. This fear, this need for acceptance, often overrides our ability to think for ourselves. It's easier to fall in line with the masses than to stand alone, questioning, observing, and deciding for ourselves. But here's the real problem. The more we let this fear control us, the less we become our true selves. We become mirrors, reflecting only what others think, not who we are. We lose our individuality, and worse, we lose our capacity to reason. But it's not just fear that keeps us in the cycle of mass psychosis. It's also laziness. Our brains are wired to take the easy route. Thinking deeply takes effort. It takes time, energy, and mental clarity to look at the world critically and to ask the tough questions. It's far easier to accept what's handed to us than to sift through the noise and find the truth. This mental laziness is why we end up following the herd without even realizing it. We choose convenience over thoughtfulness, and in doing so, we give away our power. This is especially evident in today's world of instant gratification. Social media has created a culture where opinions are formed in seconds, shared in minutes, and forgotten just as quickly. We have become so accustomed to fast reactions, quick judgments, and constant updates that we've lost the ability to slow down, reflect, and think critically. Every time we scroll, like, share, or comment, we're participating in this culture of mental laziness. We don't take the time to ask ourselves, is this the truth? Does this align with my values? Why am I reacting this way? But fear and laziness are just part of the equation. The other major factor that contributes to mass psychosis is the lack of self-awareness. Most people don't know why they believe what they believe. They don't understand their own motivations, their own biases, or the emotions driving their thoughts. This lack of self-awareness makes us easily susceptible to outside influences. We don't stop to question whether our thoughts are truly our own, or if we've simply inherited them from the people around us, from the media, or from social norms. Without this self-awareness, we don't see how we're being manipulated. We don't see the subtle ways in which society shapes our opinions, our fears, and our desires. We are like puppets with invisible strings attached to every part of our lives. We follow what's popular, what's easy, and what's accepted, without ever stopping to think if that's truly what we believe. And as long as we remain unaware of this, we will remain stuck in the cycle of mass psychosis. Here's the hard truth. This is a choice. Every time we choose to ignore the truth, to follow the crowd, to stay comfortable in our ignorance, we're giving up our power. We're choosing to live in a world of illusion, where everything is distorted and manipulated. We're choosing to live in a world where we are not in control of our own minds. But it doesn't have to be this way. You don't have to fall into the trap. The key to breaking free is awareness. When you start questioning everything, when you start becoming aware of your thoughts, your biases, your fears, and your motivations, you take back control. You start to see the world for what it really is, not for what everyone else tells you it is. You stop reacting mindlessly and instead, you start acting with intention and clarity. You become your own person, a person who is not influenced by the whims of society or the crowd. You become free, and that's the first step toward escaping mass psychosis. It's not about fighting the system. It's not about battling everyone who disagrees with you. It's about looking inside yourself, understanding your own mind, and choosing to think for yourself. The moment you do that, you've already won. You've already broken free. When we look at the world around us, we see the consequences of living in a state of mass psychosis everywhere. The cost of remaining in the crowd, of following the herd without questioning, is far greater than we realize. Most of us go through life accepting what's given to us, conforming to the norms of society, and choosing the easy path because it's familiar. But what are we really sacrificing by doing this? The price we pay for staying in the comfort of conformity is often our own potential. Living in this way means choosing the path of least resistance. It means avoiding the discomfort of standing out, of challenging the status quo, and of questioning the beliefs we've been taught. But this choice comes at a cost. Every time you accept something without truly examining it, you give up a little piece of yourself. You stop growing. You stop questioning. You stop evolving. Think about it. When was the last time you stepped outside your comfort zone to think for yourself, to challenge a belief, to ask, is this really true? The more we follow along without thinking, the more we allow ourselves to be shaped by the forces around us instead of shaping our own lives. And as time goes on, it gets harder and harder to break free from this cycle. We get stuck. We become comfortable in our ignorance. We convince ourselves that this is the way things are meant to be, and that's where we make the mistake. The cost of staying in the crowd is not just about lost opportunities or unfulfilled potential. It's about losing your freedom. When you stop thinking for yourself, when you stop questioning the world, you lose the power to make your own decisions. You give that power away to whoever is controlling the narrative. You stop being the driver of your own life and start being a passenger. And once you let someone else take the wheel, it becomes incredibly difficult to take it back. This loss of freedom is especially evident in today's world. With social media and constant news cycles, we are constantly bombarded with opinions, trends, and pressure to conform. People are judged by how well they fit into the narrative, how well they can toe the line. And the moment you step outside that line, the moment you start thinking for yourself, you're labeled an outsider. You're criticized, attacked, and even ostracized. It's easier to stay quiet, to blend in, and to accept the narrative than it is to stand firm in your beliefs and face the backlash. But in doing so, you lose the very thing that makes life worth living: your own voice, your own agency, your own self-respect. When we continue to follow the herd, we lose the ability to think critically, to analyze situations, to make informed decisions. Instead, we react. We react to the latest news, to the latest trend, to whatever everyone else is reacting to. We lose sight of who we are, what we truly believe, and what we stand for. And that, my friends, is the real cost of staying in the crowd. You lose your connection to yourself, and in doing so, you lose your chance to truly live a fulfilling life. But here's the reality. It's not too late to change. You don't have to stay in the cycle of mass psychosis. The moment you decide to stop following the crowd, to start thinking critically, and to trust your own instincts, you take back your power. You begin to reclaim your life. You start to make decisions that are aligned with your true values, not with what others expect from you. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's uncomfortable. But the alternative is far worse. The alternative is a life lived on autopilot, where you're constantly reacting to the world around you instead of creating the life you want. The alternative is a life of mediocrity, of unfulfilled potential, of lost opportunities. The alternative is giving up your freedom, your mind, and your soul to the herd. So ask yourself, what is the cost of staying in the crowd? What are you giving up by not thinking for yourself, by not questioning the status quo, by not stepping outside your comfort zone? The answer is simple. You're giving up your freedom, your potential, and your chance to live a life that truly matters. The price is high, but the payoff for breaking free is priceless. It's time to stop living in the shadows of mass psychosis and start living the life you were meant to live. It's time to reclaim your freedom, your mind, and your power. Escaping mass psychosis may sound like an impossible task, but in reality, it's one of the most empowering actions you can take. The truth is, the moment you realize that you're part of something bigger than yourself and that you don't have to follow the crowd, you've already made the first step. Now it's about breaking free from this cycle and reclaiming your independence. So how do you escape? How do you move from being a passive participant in the mass hysteria of society to someone who thinks critically, who lives authentically, and who controls their own destiny? The first step is questioning everything. Question the world around you, the beliefs you've held, and the narratives you've been fed. From the moment you start asking questions, you begin the process of breaking free. You start to see that everything you've been told is open to interpretation. Social norms, media influence, and even personal beliefs are not absolute truths. They are constructed, shaped by society, culture, and power structures. If you don't challenge them, you'll never see the world for what it truly is. By questioning everything, you open up the space for critical thinking. This isn't about being a contrarian for the sake of it. It's about seeking knowledge, diving deeper into issues, and examining things from multiple angles. It's about being open-minded enough to see things you may have never considered before. Most importantly, it's about realizing that you don't need to conform to anyone else's standards of truth. Your truth, your beliefs, and your understanding of the world should be shaped by your experiences, your values, and your reasoning. The next step in escaping mass psychosis is seeking knowledge relentlessly. The world is filled with distractions, but real knowledge is hard to come by. You have to go out of your way to find it. Seek out different perspectives. Read books, listen to diverse voices, and don't be afraid to challenge your own assumptions. Knowledge doesn't come from sitting in front of a screen and scrolling through the latest viral video. It comes from engaging with the world in a meaningful way, from thinking for yourself, and from constantly questioning what you know. Another crucial element of breaking free from the cycle is detaching from the need for external validation. This is one of the most powerful shifts you can make. The need to be liked, to be accepted, to fit in with the crowd is the very thing that keeps you trapped. The truth is, external validation is fleeting. It's not real. It doesn't last, and more importantly, it doesn't lead to growth. You must learn to be comfortable with your own opinions, your own beliefs, and your own understanding of the world. This is not about arrogance or isolation. It's about having the confidence to stand on your own, to trust your own judgment, and to stop looking to others for approval. Once you detach from external validation, you start to practice mental independence. This means thinking for yourself, making your own decisions, and creating your own path. Mental independence is a muscle that needs to be exercised. It means resisting the urge to follow the crowd and instead trusting your intuition, your knowledge, and your instincts. It's about knowing that you are in control of your own mind, that you don't have to conform to anyone else's vision of who you should be. Escaping mass psychosis is also about embracing discomfort. It's easy to stay in your comfort zone, to surround yourself with people who think like you, and to avoid situations that challenge your beliefs. But real growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. It happens when you push yourself, when you question your own assumptions, and when you engage with people and ideas that make you uncomfortable. Discomfort is where true learning happens, so stop avoiding it. Seek out the discomfort that leads to growth and embrace it as a tool for your personal transformation. Finally, remember that the world around you is not your enemy. You're not fighting against society or against other people. You're fighting to break free from the chains that keep you mentally trapped. You're fighting to reclaim your mind, your freedom, and your power. The world will always be full of noise, of distractions, and of people who are stuck in the cycle of mass psychosis. But you don't have to be one of them. You have the ability to rise above it, to carve out your own path, and to live a life that's true to who you are. The key is to keep moving forward. The journey out of mass psychosis isn't linear. It's not a quick fix. It's a lifelong process of questioning, learning, and growing. But the moment you make the decision to think for yourself, to stop following the crowd, and to reclaim your independence, you've already started to escape. The rest is up to you. You are the master of your own mind. The power to break free is in your hands. Building immunity against stupidity isn't something that happens overnight. It's a gradual process, one that takes consistent effort, self-awareness, and discipline. But once you start, you'll notice a profound shift in how you engage with the world. Instead of being swept away by the tide of mass psychosis, you'll begin to see the cracks in the system. You'll notice the mental laziness, the distractions, and the noise, and you'll learn to filter them out. So how do you build this immunity? First, it starts with critical thinking. This is the foundation of everything. Critical thinking is not just about analyzing facts and figures, but also about questioning assumptions, examining biases, and being willing to challenge your own beliefs. It's about asking the tough questions, the ones that go beyond the surface level. Why do I believe this? What evidence do I have to support it? Who benefits from me believing this? The more you ask these questions, the more you start to understand the world in a deeper way. You stop taking things at face value, and you begin to engage with the world more thoughtfully. But critical thinking alone isn't enough. You also need to surround yourself with thinkers, not followers. This means intentionally seeking out people who challenge your ideas, who push you to think differently, and who encourage you to question the status quo. Too often, we surround ourselves with people who think like us, who validate our beliefs and opinions. While that can feel comforting, it doesn't help us grow. You need to expose yourself to different perspectives, to ideas that might make you uncomfortable, because it's through this discomfort that growth happens. Mental independence also requires you to train your mind. Just like physical strength, mental strength is something that needs to be built over time. It's about cultivating the discipline to think for yourself, to resist the urge, to follow the crowd, and to be comfortable with your own opinions. This takes practice. Start by regularly challenging your own beliefs and assumptions. Read books that push your thinking. Engage with people who have opposing views. And instead of getting defensive, ask yourself what you can learn from them. The more you expose yourself to new ideas, the stronger your mind becomes. Another crucial component of building immunity is self-reflection. Take time each day to check in with yourself. Reflect on your thoughts, your reactions, and your decisions. Ask yourself, did I think for myself today? Was I influenced by others? Am I staying true to my values? Reflection allows you to see where you might be slipping into old habits, where you might be giving in to the noise, and where you can improve. It's through regular self-reflection that you can catch yourself before falling back into the cycle of mass psychosis. Equally important is detaching from the noise. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded with information. News, social media, advertisements, and endless opinions are designed to keep us hooked. But the truth is, most of this information is irrelevant, distracting, and often misleading. If you want to build immunity against stupidity, you need to limit your exposure to the noise. This doesn't mean isolating yourself, but it does mean being intentional about what you consume. Choose quality over quantity. Follow people and sources that promote thoughtful, meaningful discussion. Cut out the voices that feed into the chaos and keep you in the cycle of distraction. You also need to practice mental discipline. This means learning how to focus your attention, how to avoid distractions, and how to resist the pull of the herd. It's easy to get lost in the never-ending scroll of social media, to get caught up in the drama, the arguments, and the outrage. But true mental strength comes from resisting these impulses and choosing to engage in something more meaningful. This could be reading a book, working on a personal project, or simply spending time in quiet reflection. The more you train your mind to stay focused and intentional, the less susceptible you become to the distractions that keep the world in a state of mass psychosis. Finally, embrace the discomfort of living authentically. It's not easy to stand out from the crowd, to challenge popular beliefs, and to go against the grain. But it's in this discomfort that you will find true growth. When you start living authentically, when you start thinking for yourself and questioning everything, you will inevitably face resistance. People will challenge you. They'll try to pull you back into the herd. But it's in these moments of resistance that you'll find your true strength. It's through embracing the discomfort of living your truth that you will build the immunity to mass psychosis. Building immunity against stupidity doesn't happen by accident. It takes conscious effort, the willingness to question everything, the courage to think independently, and the discipline to stay true to yourself. But once you start building this immunity, you'll notice a dramatic shift in how you see the world. You'll stop being a puppet and start being the master of your own mind. And with that freedom comes the power to shape your own life, to live authentically, and to rise above the noise that keeps the masses trapped in ignorance. The journey out of mass psychosis is not an easy one, but it is one of the most rewarding paths you can take. As we've seen, the world around us is filled with noise, distractions, and pressures to conform. It's easy to get swept away in the current, to follow the crowd, and to let others dictate your thoughts, actions, and beliefs. But the truth is, you have the power to rise above all of this. The moment you stop living for the approval of others, the moment you start thinking for yourself, is the moment you begin to break free. But breaking free is just the beginning. The real work starts once you decide to take control of your mind, to reclaim your independence, and to start living a life that's true to who you are. The first thing you must do is stop reacting to the world around you. Most people live their lives in reaction mode, reacting to what others say, what others do, what's trending in the media. They don't think for themselves. They simply react. But true freedom comes when you stop reacting and start acting with intention. Instead of being swept away by the latest drama, the latest trend, or the latest opinion, you take a step back and ask yourself, what do I truly believe? What is important to me? It's important to realize that the world will always be full of distractions. There will always be something that tries to pull you back into the herd, something that will try to convince you that you're not enough or that you need to conform to fit in. But when you know who you are, when you have a clear sense of your values and your purpose, these distractions no longer have the same power over you. You stop being controlled by external forces and start living from within. One of the most powerful things you can do is embody your values. This means living in a way that reflects who you truly are, not who society wants you to be. It's easy to say you believe in something, but it's much harder to live according to those beliefs every single day. But when you do, you begin to set yourself apart from the crowd. You stop seeking validation from others because you already know your worth. You stop arguing for your beliefs because your actions speak louder than any words ever could. As you start to embrace your true self, you will notice a shift in your relationships, your career, and your life. The people around you may not always understand your choices, and that's okay. When you stop following the herd, you stop fitting into the boxes others try to put you in. But what you'll find is that the people who matter, the ones who value you for who you truly are, will respect you even more. You'll attract people who think like you, people who value authenticity and independent thought, and people who will challenge you to grow even more. Living authentically also means accepting that not everyone will agree with you. And that's perfectly fine. The need to be right or to prove yourself to others is one of the most limiting forces in the world. When you stop worrying about what others think and start focusing on your own journey, you realize that it doesn't matter if someone agrees with you or not. What matters is that you are true to yourself. When you live from a place of authenticity, the need to argue, to convince others, to win a debate disappears. Your life becomes your greatest statement. In the end, strength is not about winning arguments or dominating others. It's about mastering yourself, your thoughts, and your emotions. It's about having the courage to live according to your own truth, even when it's difficult or uncomfortable. It's about rising above the noise of the world and focusing on what truly matters. Your growth, your peace of mind, and your ability to contribute something meaningful to the world. Living authentically also means accepting that not everyone will agree with you, and that's perfectly fine. The need to be right or to prove yourself to others is one of the most limiting forces in the world. When you stop worrying about what others think and start focusing on your own journey, you realize that it doesn't matter if someone agrees with you or not. What matters is that you are true to yourself. When you live from a place of authenticity, the need to argue, to convince others, to win a debate disappears. Your life becomes your greatest statement. In the end, strength is not about winning arguments or dominating others. It's about mastering yourself, your thoughts, and your emotions. It's about having the courage to live according to your own truth, even when it's difficult or uncomfortable. It's about rising above the noise of the world and focusing on what truly matters, your growth, your peace of mind, and your ability to contribute something meaningful to the world.